In this week's Parshat, Yosef HaTzadik was sold by his brothers as a slave to Mitzrayim. And in Mitzrayim, he ended up in Potiphar's house, where Potiphar's wife was giving him trouble and trying to get him to do an Averah, until she got him she accused him, and she took him to court, and the court punished him with 12 years of jail. And the question is, what did Yosef do to deserve all this? What could he have done? Today we know that if a person would go through anything similar to something, to his brother's selling him, his brother's looking at him the wrong way, we already know that we're gonna give him a free pass at life. We're gonna tell him, oh miskin, look what you're doing, you don't have to try hard anymore. We understand life was so difficult for you when you were younger, that's it, you're patur. Yosef fought through it, and he became Yosef HaTzadik because he fought through it. He became the ruler of Mitzrayim afterwards too. Why did Yosef get all this? The Midrash tells us that Yosef, when he told his father, Vayave Yosef et dibatam ra'a el avihim, Yosef told his father about things that his brothers did. What did he say about his brothers? He said that they were eating evel min achai, they were eating from a live animal. You have to do shchita. Or Bnei Noach, the children of the Goyim, they at least have to kill the animal. You can't eat from a live animal. But really, what were they doing? They had a sefer Yetzirah, and they created an animal through the sefer Yetzirah. Yes, sefer Yetzirah has the names, different names of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that when you say them properly, you can create things. And that's what they did. It was a hand-me-down from Avraham Avinu to Yitzchak to Yaakov, and at the age of 20 you will receive the sefer. And he said that they would call the Bnei Shvachot Avadim. They call them Avadim. Why were they calling them Avadim? The truth is that because the only people that were allowed to use the Sefer Yetzirah was the Bnei Gevirot, the children of Leah and Rachel. But the children of Bilhah and Zilpah, who were the maids of Rachel and Leah, their children did not have the right to use the Sefer. And therefore they were calling them Bnei Shvachot. But he went and told Yaakov Avinu, listen, my brothers are calling them Bnei Hashvachot, they're calling them Avadim. And then he said, you know what? They're also looking at Benot Haaretz. They're looking at the girls. What were they doing? They created a girl from Sefer Yetzirah, and that's what they were looking at. They just created it. Yosef had no idea. He was 17 years old. You were only allowed to get the sefer at the age of 20. Even though he was for the children of a son of Rachel, he would have been allowed to use it, but he was only 17 at the time. Yosef went to his father, and he told his father on them. The Midrash says the three things that he told his father about them, those three things happened to him. He told his father that they ate evel min achai, they ate without shchita. When they dipped his clothing, when they sold him, they dipped his clothing to show his father that he was eaten and attacked by a wild animal. They dipped it in blood. The pasuk says, "Vayishchatu se'ir izim." They did shchita first to tell you, look, they're dipping your clothing in the blood. But first, they did shchita. How could you accuse them of not eating without shchita? Then, when he was sold as a slave, that was because he accused his brothers of calling the Bnei Shvachot Avadim. And when he was bothered by Eshet Potiphar, that was because he accused his brothers of looking at the Benot Haaretz. But let's look behind it. What was Yosef trying to do? Yosef was only trying to get Yaakov to rebuke his brothers. We have halakha in Hilchot Lashon Hara that says that you're allowed to say Lashon Hara leto'elet. You're allowed to go and tell somebody, if somebody has the influence to be mechanech, to give musar, to rebuke somebody, and it's gonna have power to do something to affect on this person that he's telling on, you're allowed to say Lashon Hara. So Yosef went to his father. All he was trying to do is to bring forth an issue that he felt was an issue, that his father should rebuke his children for it. And Yosef wasn't just trying to gain the pity of his father, to gain to be on his father's good side, because the Torah tells us that Yosef had this in mind. It says, "V'hu na'al," he was just a lad, and he felt his brothers who were older wouldn't listen to him because he's much younger. And it says, "Vayave Yosef et dibatam ra'a el avihem." Vayave, he brought it as is. It doesn't say Vayisaper, and he told it over like a story. There was no added salt and pepper. He said it exactly the way he saw it. No added. This is what I saw, Abba. And he didn't say it to Yaakov Avinu to get on his good side, like as though, look, you're my father and I'm not doing these things? It doesn't say Vayave Yosef dibatam ra'a el avihim, to el aviv, to his own father. It says el avihim. He went to Yaakov, you're their father, you can rebuke them. Please help them correct themselves. That's all Yosef was trying to do. But the Midrash tells us that still, because he didn't dig deeper, he didn't really find out, he accused them wrongly, he wasn't done lekaf sichut. For that, he got punished. The Midrash tells us that that Kadosh Baruch Hu judges every person midah keneged midah. In the same way that a person acts, the exact same way Kadosh Baruch Hu judges him. In Tehillim, in Perek Kuf Chaf Aleph, we say, Hashem shomerecha, Hashem watches you, Hashem tzillecha, Hashem is your shadow. What does it mean, Hashem is your shadow? The same way when a person goes like this, and he sees his arm moving at the exact same time, in a shadow, that's the exact same way HaKadosh Baruch Hu acts with us. When we go like this, HaKadosh Baruch Hu goes like this to us. It says in the Gemara in Shabbat, Kol ha-merachem al ha-birot, whoever has mercy and pity on other people, HaKadosh Baruch Hu merachamim alav in hashamayim, from heaven, they're going to be merachem on him too, they're going to have pity and mercy on him too. Why? Because that's how you acted towards other people. And the Gemara in Masechet Shabbat says also, in Daf Kuf Chav Zayin Amud Bet, the Gemara says in a story over there, that one of the Tanaim gave a bracha to a few other Tanaim, and he said the same way, a person, he gave a bracha to the Tanaim, the same way that you judged me, lekaf zechut, the same way you gave me the benefit of the doubt, so too HaKadosh Baruch Hu will give you the benefit of the doubt. The question is, Meika sveka klape shmaya, is there a doubt in Shamayim? Does HaKadosh Baruch Hu have a doubt? Benefit of the doubt? What doubt is there? HaKadosh Baruch Hu sees what we did, chas v'chalila, and he can say, okay, I did it, there's no benefit of the doubt. What benefit of the doubt? The Farshim explain that the benefit of the doubt is to tell us that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to make up an excuse. When a person sees somebody and he gives him the benefit of the doubt, he makes up an excuse, even though when you look at it, there's almost nothing that you can possibly blame it on besides for something bad. I see him doing this, there's nothing I can blame it on other than bad, but I will benefit him, give him the benefit of the doubt. I'll make up a story. HaKadosh Baruch Hu will make up a story. He will dig to find us an excuse. He will make the excuse up for us. And that's why HaKadosh Baruch Hu is doing midah keneged midah. Ladun midah keneged midah is typically known as a bad thing. Oh, the same way you act, it will be acted to you. But really, Chachamim, Chazal tell us that midah keneged midah is in order to benefit us. That if we act kindly, that's exactly the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to act to us. Yosef HaTzadik, he accused his brothers. He saw, but he didn't give them kaf zechut. He didn't give them the benefit of the doubt. Give them another chance. They're the children of Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. They're the Shvatim. They're the future of Klal Yisrael. How could you accuse them wrongly so quickly? Should have been a little bit more patient. And then decide whether there was really something wrong over here. See if it's a repetitive issue. And then go to Yaakov. And Yosef was very quick to judge. If a person looks with an ayin tova, and he with kaf zechut, and he gives people the benefit of the doubt, and he has mercy on other people, in the same way a person acts here towards other people, that's the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu will act towards us. Bezrat Hashem. In this week's question of the week, we asked about a person who bought a sefer. And the sefer was an antique sefer. He bought it from a person who obviously sold it to him at the market value of an antique sefer. He takes the sefer home, he takes it open, and he opens it up, and he found inside a signature from one of the early Kadmonim, one of the early Acharonim. It was a signature that immediately increased the value of the sefer. When the seller found out, he right away went to the Rav and he said, Rabbi, what do I get reimbursed for this sefer? Why? Because I sold it to him at a much lower cost. Had I seen this signature, I would have sold it for much, much more. The value of the sefer is much more. There's no reason why I should have sold it for this little. I didn't know about the signature. What is the halacha? Does he really get reimbursed? Was there ona'ah over here? Or does the buyer get to keep the sefer and at the cost that he paid for it, or what he paid for it? We mentioned, for references purposes, we spoke about a similar question in Parashat Vayeshev. We mentioned there that there was a Mordechai who brought in Siman Resh Nun Chet in Bava Metzia that said over a story about a guy who bought a bowl of metal. And this bowl of metal, he needed it for something, and he ended up deciding that he's not going to use it, and he sold it to another guy. And this ball of metal ended up cracking. Somehow it broke, and it turned out that the entire interior of this ball was silver. It was just plated with this metal. Somebody was trying to hide it, and the silver was on the inside. And the question came to Rabbi Eliezer Mimitz. The seller said, there was ona'ah, I sold it for very little, I want to get paid the rest, or give me back the silver. I would never have sold it at such a price. It's ona'ah. Rabbi Eliezer Mimitz said, it's not ona'ah, and the buyer gets to keep it. What did he base it on? He based it on the Mishnah in Masechet Bava Metzia and Daf Kaf He Amud Bet. The Mishnah says if a person would find something in a very old wall, and he would find something and it looked very, very old, you can tell that it was from many years back, he gets to keep what he found. Even though this wall wasn't somebody else's property. Tosafot and Daf Kavav ask, why? Why can you keep it? We have a rule in Bava Metzia and Daf Yud Aleph that says, "Chatzero shel adam konano shelo midato." A person's property can acquire for him, even though he had no idea that it came into the property. If you put something in someone's mailbox, it automatically became his. Why? Because it's normal, uncommon for somebody to put things into a mailbox. Therefore, a person's property acquires it for him. If somebody opens up the mailbox and takes something out, for example, a free promotion CD was put into someone's mailbox. If somebody would come and say, "Listen, it was a free CD, I want it. It wasn't directed at the owner of this mailbox. Therefore, let me take it out." It's mamash gezer. He's not allowed to do that. It belongs to the person that owns this mailbox. So his property acquires from him. It's not his property. It's his mailbox. It's his. You cannot take it out. A person's property acquires shelo b'reshut. So then, how can you say that this person who found something in a wall that's in someone else's property and it was an old wall, and you can blame it that it was here before this person bought this house? Still, his property buys it for him and acquires for him. Why can he keep it? Tosafot say because since it's not common that it's almost impossible that he would have ever found this thing in the wall, and it's not common for things to end up in the wall. Therefore, therefore his property doesn't acquire. A person's property only acquires things that are commonly found or things that are possible to ever be found. And this is not possible to be found. That's what Tosafot says. And the Mordechai and Siman Resh Nun Chet adds and says, and therefore a person never thought about it. A person's property cannot acquire anything that he could have never dreamt of. Only things that you could have ever imagined that could be bought. But something that could have never been imagined that your property cannot acquire. Based on this, says Rabbi Eliezer Mimitz, he told the seller, when you bought this ball of metal, have you ever dreamt in your wildest dreams that there's going to be silver on the inside? No, you bought it. It was for roofing purposes. You would have melted it down and used it for your roof. This metal. So you would have never thought that there's silver inside it. When you sold it as this metal. And the person who bought it as that metal too, and that was the price you sold it at. When he got lucky and it broke, it was in his reshut, it was in his property. When it was in your property, since you never would have imagined about it, you never acquired it. Your possession never acquired the silver. In Shut Avodat HaGershuni and Siman Tzadidayat, he took this even one step further. How about if the seller, when he bought this ball thinking that it was another metal, but really it was very, very tarnished silver. And he confused it for another metal. So he bought it for a price of a regular metal, and then he didn't need it, and he sold it at the same price as another metal. And later, by the buyer's hand, the buyer found out that it was really just tarnished silver. And it says the Avodat HaGershuni from the Levush in Siman Resh Lamed Gimel in choshen mishpat. He says, from this case of the Re'im, we can understand that since this person, when he had it in his hand, he never thought that he had silver. Although it was silver, it was just tarnished. But all he thought it was a metal, and since he just thought it was a metal, and he sold it as a metal, the buyer gets to keep it. In Shut Shevet HaLevi, in Chelek Daled, Siman Resh Yud Aleph, he was asked a question about the book. And he said, we cannot say that the book is similar to the silver, and that the buyer would get to keep it. It's very different. When a person bought this, the seller had this book, and it was an antique book. The book comes with everything. The signature is part of the book. Everything that's in the book he meant to acquire. It's not like by the silver and it was another metal. I have silver in my hand, I have a metal in my hand. I could have never dreamt that it was a entire different thing, which was silver. I thought I have a metal over here. Therefore, I acquired the entire thing as though it was metal. But an antique book, I bought it as a book, and whatever comes inside the book, I had intention to acquire that, even though I didn't know about it. I don't have to know about every single word inside the book when I'm selling it. I thought that I had a book, and whatever this book was, this is what I'm selling. It turned out that it had a signature inside it. That signature really was known also in my possession. This is in the seller's possession. And therefore, the buyer would have to reimburse the seller for the increased value that once he found out that there was this signature. However, in the case of the Yere'im that we mentioned, there was one metal and then there was silver. It's two separate things. So I can't say that when I had in mind to buy the metal, I had in mind to buy silver. It's two different things. Even though it was just tarnished and it was really silver, but it's still two different things. I can't confuse one thing for the next. But in a book, everything that comes in the book, I had in mind to buy that. And since I had in mind to acquire everything that was in the book, it was considered that the signature was already in my possession. And therefore, when I sold it to him, I sold him with the signature, and there was ona'ah. I sold it for much less than its actual value is. And therefore, says the Shevet HaLevi, that in this case, since it's very different than the cases of the Yere'im, of the silver and the metal, and the Avodat HaGilshuni, therefore, in this case, the buyer would have to reimburse the seller for the increased value of the signature.